Hello, I'm Sarah, the Gallifreyan Ravenclaw. I said I'd record if anything big happened in episodes 4 or 5. Well, episode 4, yeah, a few big things happened. So, obviously, spoilers, turn off now if you haven't seen it, and just go watch the episode. Obviously. Well, I'll start with the actual storyline rather than the big bits at the end. I actually thought it was quite obvious that the weird lady was the little girl. I worked that out very early on, but I didn't think the woman actually looked 70, so I wasn't sure about the dates originally. Well, I had said in the previous one about I don't think that the division mystery will be solved this series. I'm probably going to retract that statement now. I think it is actually going to be solved this series rather than in the special next year. Although obviously there may still be more we learn about it next year, but I think we are going to learn pretty much what the division is this series, now that the Doctor's been retracted to it. What I don't understand is why now she's been retracted she's turned into an angel. When she was working for them before, she was definitely still a Time Lord, not an angel. So I don't understand that bit at all. I'm glad we got the answers to the questions I'd said about Claire, like how she knew not to blink when she saw the angel, and that she knew she was going to see the Doctor in the past, so that was just that she was a seer. But when we'd seen in the next time the Professor experimenting on her, I thought he was experimenting because he knew that she had time travelled, but that was pretty obvious early on when she said she was born in 85 and he went, sorry? So, that he didn't know that. I like the Professor as a character because he, like the Doctor said, literally wasn't worried about what was going on. He just wanted to know all the facts about the angels and everything that was going on. Then obviously we saw Belle again, and when they were going to that thing, I was going, I don't think that that's very trusting. And then obviously we recognised Jussieu, but she did recognise what a passenger was, so realised what was about to happen, so begged it, and she did stop to pull that guy with her. I can't remember his name because it was 6 miles long, but you know what I mean. One of the things the angel said about the division was that they take all species, which we kind of already knew, and confirms what I said about in the Doctor's memories, Yaz and Vinda. Obviously we don't know who they really are, that's why I'm just calling them that. But there were some things that might give away their species. So Yaz seemed to be the weapons and explosives expert. So she's from some species that do a lot of war. So obviously my first thought would be a Sontaran. Don't know if that's accurate, but some sort of species that they do have a lot of war. Whereas Vinda, one thing I thought was he did seem to be the second in command to the Doctor. So he might be from another species that is highly regarded, but he also seemed to be a techie, so he's obviously from some quite technologically advanced race. I'm not going to put a guess to that, there's a lot of them. But the fact that they used angels is interesting because there's not been many instances of people actually using angels because they have the trouble of controlling them. I think that, if I remember correctly, that's what happened in the Byzantium. They were being taken to be used as a weapon somewhere and then they lost control. But then obviously we saw Vinda finding Belle's message, and the guy who had been very annoyed with Belle for removing his opportunity to freedom actually realised she was probably right and had saved his life, so wouldn't even be recommending doing that to other people, and she's obviously now going to try and stop them. And it's hilarious that obviously she went, this has some recording time, so went on about all the other stuff and then went, oh, I'm going to so that he'll have to try and find her other ways. I was expecting her to say something like the place where we did this, or the place where we were planning on going, so something that only Vinda would be able to use to follow her anyway. So obviously the next time we saw a number of things, including an Ood, who at best guess he's working for the Lupari, and then obviously Carvanista saying that the shield was now breachable, and then obviously Dan and Yaz said that they'd been in 1901 for 3 years, so technically they're now in 1904. Yeah, they seem to still be with the professor. Whether they're still with the girl is another question. But obviously we know that she's going to stay there, as obviously she was still there in 67 and she was 60 odd years older. But we don't know what's going to happen to the others. Presumably if the Doctor manages to then get back out of the division, get back to her TARDIS, she can then go and save them. But obviously the whole time distortion thing, that was the reason the Doctor could never rescue Amy and Rory, would mean that they would have to have waited a few years anyway to be out of the mess. Whether the Doctor will be able to rescue them, I suppose, depends whether there's still sky at the end of all the roads, or whether the town has rejoined Earth by then, which obviously we won't know till next week's episode. And then we saw the Grand Serpent guy again, the very lovely man, and he seemed to be talking to Kate. So obviously we hope she says no to whatever he says, because we know how lovely he is, but she possibly doesn't. So that might be up to Vinda to inform her what he's like. And the Grand Serpent was actually appeared to be standing next to the TARDIS, so whether that is the TARDIS as we've just seen it, or an earlier TARDIS, I'm not sure, but it seems to be in the same room as Kate. If the sky is no longer at the end of the roads in both 1901 and 1967, then the TARDIS would have just sat in that town for 40 years. At some point, UNIT would have come and picked it up. Then there was also obviously the Victorian guy again, who I really should have learnt his name by now. We still haven't really seen him. We still don't even really know who he's working for. I'm going to guess it's Swarm and Azure, but I don't know. So I think that's everything from episode 4. Obviously this isn't a full breakdown, I've just watched it the once, but this is everything I could think of. I said I'll review big episodes this series, so at very least I'll be doing 6, but it depends how much happens next week as to whether I'll be doing one then. So, bye!